Coming up on today's show, some Major League Baseball trade rumors with the MLB trade deadline coming up very quickly. We're going to hit the latest on Shohei Ohtani, and will Juan Soto get dealt? Before we get started, though, if you want us to go live for the MLB trade deadline, I need you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. For those of you who watch our Chat Sports videos often, we cover a lot of the NFL, NBA, and college football. I love baseball, though. I'd love to go live for the MLB trade deadline. So if that's the case, show us some love and make sure you like the video. Let's begin here with the latest on Shohei Ohtani. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for watching the show. Even though the Los Angeles Angels swept the New York Yankees this week, they are not close to a decision on whether or not to trade Shohei Ohtani, arguably the most gifted baseball player of all time. And entering the weekend as we record this on Friday, the Halos are 5 games back in the wild card race. They do take on the Pittsburgh Pirates for a weekend set, and the Major League Baseball trade deadline is set for August 1st. And when you look at this situation, it's one of the more fascinating storylines that we've ever come across in the history of this beautiful game. Angels owner Art Moreno, his thought process right now has been, and he said this to Ken Rosenthal multiple times, I don't want to be known as the owner who traded the best baseball player of all time. And I understand where he's coming from, but what Art Moreno should be thinking about, what is best for my business moving forward? What helps us as a baseball organization succeed? Because the Angels as a team have been under 500 every year since 2018. And anytime you're a part of a graph like this, it is pretty abysmal, and you're in a really, really bad situation, right? The Angels have had Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, 2 generational players, yet they haven't made it to the playoffs, and we haven't seen these guys on a big stage. And Mike Trout, his career has been clouded by the fact that he's barely had any opportunities in the playoffs and in the World Baseball Classic to show what he can do when the lights are the brightest. Shohei Ohtani, very special, very unique player. I don't even have to go into that category, right? Because we all know that Ohtani is one of one. His hitting numbers over the last 4 years, they've been tremendous. This year, leads Major League Baseball in home runs up to this point with 34. He's batting .273, 95 ribbies already with an OPS of .875. Last year, 46 jacks. He's currently on pace to overtake that number with 100 RBIs and a .965 OPS. That's 2 years ago. And then in 2020, that's the year that he was recovering off of the Tommy John. But in 2019, 286, 18 jacks, 62 ribbies, and an .848 OPS. So that's what he's able to do offensively with the bat. And then with what he's been able to do on the bump, this guy throws cheddar. And he has a fastball that ranges in the mid to high 90s, really good off speed. And for a player to be able to impact the game in this regard, where he can be strong with the stick, but also be a really good pitcher, that's what makes him extremely unique. And everybody wants to compare him to Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth wasn't hitting jacks like this. He wasn't throwing cheddar to this high level of a degree. And the pitching numbers, they've been really, really good. And then this year, what he's been able to put forward is why, if the Angels do trade him away, they're going to get back one of the best packages of current players, prospects that we'll ever see. He's hitting .306. He already has 76 RBIs, a slugging percentage of .678, an OPS north of it's at 1.075, His on-base percentage is .397. And then on the hill, I had an opportunity to watch him in person live against the Texas Rangers a few weeks ago. He was dealing on the mound, but then he hit a go-ahead home run late. Oppo Boppo, like 380 feet. And to see a guy do that in person, and he does this regularly, this is stuff of aliens. He's 7-5, 3.5 ERA, which isn't great. He's already logged 105 innings, a whip over 1, and then 139 Ks. Baseball America putting together a list of top destinations for Shohei Ohtani, and you could put some other teams in the mix, like a Boston Red Sox or a New York Yankees, but this list of teams, they could put together a package of really, really intriguing prospects and some current players who can really move the needle for the Angels, allow them to compete, rebuild, and be an actual factor for the first time in a long time in the AL West, a very good division, and in the American League. Los Angeles Dodgers, probably the number one team that's been mentioned for any big player on the trade market, especially for Shohei Ohtani. Keep in mind that given where he's from, he might want to stay on the West Coast. It's an easier flight across the Pacific Ocean. Baltimore Orioles, one of the surprise teams in Major League Baseball this year. They're thrown in there because they have a lot of prospects who are balling out. Texas Rangers, Philadelphia Phillies, and the Cincinnati Reds. It is a big risk to trade for Shohei Ohtani because he's on an expiring contract. He's set to hit free agency. So are these teams going to be willing to give up the farm for Shohei, knowing they might risk losing him in free agency, and they counter that with just wanting to win a World Series championship this upcoming season? Another team here, outside of the marquee teams with brand power like the Yankees and the Red Sox, look out for the San Francisco Giants. This is a team that went on that dynastic run in the early 2010s under Bruce Bochy, who is back again after retiring. And what do you know? The Texas Rangers playing really, really well. Look out for the Giants. A lot of good current players and prospects they could throw into the fold. And then there's some buzz that the New York Yankees could have been interested in Shohei Ohtani. That short porch in right field at Yankee Stadium would allow him to hit so many home runs. But they may be looking to avoid the luxury tax. I know my boy Gary Sheffield Jr., he's just going crazy about that. So where will Ohtani go? Let us know down in the comment section right now. This will be our pinned comment. And if you're new to us here at Chat Sports, we're all about audience interaction. We go back, we look at the comment section. We want to hear from you. A for the Angels, that's where he goes and stays. Or O for another team. And if he does go somewhere else, name that squad. Let us know down in the comment section right now. Now let's shift gears to another monster name, and this is why the Major League Baseball trade deadline is so fascinating heading into the next couple of days. Juan Soto, is he going to be on the move? A lot of chatter. There's a lot of stuff percolating right now that Soto could be on the move as well. San Diego Padres, given what they've invested, getting back Fernando Tatis Jr., and all of the expectations of them with what they accomplished last year, the moves that they've made, this year has been really, really disappointing. They're 46-51, 6.5 games back in the wild card race. And this could be one of the more epic Major League Baseball trade deadlines just because of the star power that's in play here. When we're talking about Ohtani, we're talking about Juan Soto, but some of the other players who have also been thrown in the mix as well. Soto's off to a fantastic start in his career. He's been in the bigs for 6 years. Obviously burst onto the scene with the Washington Nationals as a teenager. He's still really young at 24 years old. 2019 helps that team win the World Series, their first in franchise history. Slash line as his career numbers go, 283, 142 home runs, 428 ribbies, slugging percentage of .520, and an OPS of .944. This year got off to a little bit of a slow start, was still named an All-Star, and is putting together a really solid season as we're sitting here toward the tail end of July. 262, 17 jacks, 92 walks. That leads Major League Baseball with a .905 OPS. And you look at his career accolades up to this point. He's 24, as I said, helped the Nats win that World Series back in 2019, 3-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger, and the National League batting champion in 2020. Been a little bit disappointing for San Diego up to this point. There's been some talk that he doesn't really enjoy the situation in San Diego. He wants to go somewhere else, not as close to his family in the Dominican Republic. What do you make of that? I don't really know. What do you make of this, though, from Jon Heyman, one of the best Major League Baseball insiders? He tweeted this out on the 13th of July, about a week ago at this point. Very early speculation has the Philadelphia Phillies, with its ex-Nats connection and free agent record, as a potential eventual landing spot for Juan Soto, plus many trade notes. This was plugging his article. Kevin Long is the Phillies hitting coach. He was the hitting coach for the Nationals when they won that World Series, and then the Bryce Harper connection and Kyle Schwarber connection there for Washington and Philadelphia as well. Now, FanDuel put together this trade idea, which would land the Philadelphia Phillies Juan Soto. The Philadelphia Phillies would have to part ways with their number one pitching prospect in Andrew Painter. Unfortunately, the Phillies have recommended Painter in his camp that he undergoes Tommy John surgery. And then there are a couple of other good players in the mix. And this is kind of headlined by Painter, of course, but Justin Crawford, also a very good player. Couple of other prospects thrown in there. Some of you might know, some of you might not. But really the big deal here is that the defending National League champions would get back Juan Soto. You put him in left field, and then Kyle Schwarber able to be the DH, because a pretty interesting development here with Bryce Harper that we're about to get to. Dave Dombrowski on the Philly situation going into the deadline. Part of what we need is based upon what happens with Bryce Harper, because if Bryce can move to first base, it allows us to free up the DH spot and put Schwarber there a little bit more. And then we have the ability to decide what we want to do in left field or the outfield period. He also specifically mentioned left field as well. Of note here, so the Philadelphia Phillies are embarking on a series against the Cleveland Indians. Guess who's starting at first base, because Rhys Hoskins is out for the year with that torn ACL. Bryce Harper, who underwent Tommy John surgery on his throwing elbow this offseason, was supposed to come back just before the All-Star break, maybe a little bit after it. He came back well before that, hasn't been able to throw. Didn't throw it all last year, which was amazing with what he did in the playoffs, considering he had that torn UCL in his elbow. Is going to start at first base on Friday for Philadelphia. My take with this entire situation, Philadelphia Phillies are coming off a season in which they won the National League, they made it to the World Series. Shoot, they took a 2-1 series lead against the Houston Astros before losing 3 consecutive games. The Philadelphia Phillies should do whatever it takes to trade for Juan Soto, because if they do, I don't even care what prospects they part with. They'll become favorites to win the National League, to get back to the World Series once again. Because who's going to stop this potential lineup of Kyle Schwarber leading off at DH, Trey Turner at shortstop, who's really started to come on right after the All-Star break. You put in Juan Soto in that 3 position in that lineup. Bryce Harper bats cleanup. Nick Castellanos just made it to his second All-Star game. He can stay at right field and still bat 5th. JT Realmuto is struggling a little bit, but with the protection in that lineup, can he play a little bit better? The defensive improvements that Alec Bohm has made this year have been really impressive. He's drastically improved there. Bryson Stott, the plate discipline that he's displayed, it's been a seamless transition for him going to second base, taking over for Gene Segura. You have Brandon Marsh batting 9th in this lineup with the rotation, without making moves at the deadline of Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Taijuan Walker, and Ranger Suarez. I think if the Philadelphia Phillies trade for Juan Soto, and of course you can switch that lineup a little bit if you want to break up the lefties with Soto and Harper, if you want to put Castellanos or Realmuto in the mix, they become the favorites to win the National League. So with that, let's round out today's show with this. Juan Soto is a top blank player in Major League Baseball right now. Let me know down in the comments section. And before we hop on out of here, I cover a lot of the NFL, NBA here at Chat Sports, but when it comes to talking baseball, me and producer Jack, we love this game. So if you want more baseball videos, simply subscribe, hit that thumbs up icon, because we do it all here at Chat Sports, and we spit facts in the process.